My ex-wife called me panicking at 1 in the morning. Our son is in jail. Send $20,000 now. I said 5 words. Call someone else. I'm done. Then I hung up, turned off my phone, and slept like a baby. I never imagined that when I woke up, my phone would explode with 67 missed calls and 189 text messages. You think that makes me a bad father? Let me tell you what kind of father I really am. I'm grateful you're here. Before I tell you how I got to that breaking point, drop a comment below. Where are you watching this from, and what time is it for you right now? Let's see how far this story reaches. Let me take you back 15 years. Back to the moment everything I thought I knew about family fell apart. 15 years ago, my wife left me for a richer man. She said I'd always smell like pipe grease and broken promises. She was half right. I did smell like pipe grease. But I never broke a promise she did. I was 41 years old, working 7 days a week as a solo plumber in Phoenix, Arizona. My hands were calloused, my back hurt every morning, and my van was a rusted Ford that coughed black smoke at every red light. I fixed leaking pipes under kitchen sinks for $40 an hour. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work, and I was good at it. I thought that mattered. I thought being a good man who showed up every day was enough. I was wrong. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was under a bathroom sink in Scottsdale, wrench in hand, when my phone buzzed. Simone's name lit up the screen. "Joseph, we need to talk." Her voice was different. Flat, like she'd rehearsed the words. "I'm working. Can it wait?" "No, it can't. I've met someone who can give me and Preston a better life. I'm filing for divorce." Water dripped from the pipe I hadn't finished tightening. "What about Preston?" I finally asked. "He's coming with me. You can barely afford the apartment we're in now. Preston deserves more." The line went dead. The divorce came fast. She filed on grounds of adultery. She'd been seeing him for months, a man who owned 3 car dealerships in Scottsdale. He wore suits, drove a Mercedes, didn't smell like pipe grease. The worst part wasn't losing her. It was losing my son. The custody hearing was in a beige courtroom in downtown Phoenix on a Thursday morning. I wore the only suit I owned, bought from a thrift store on Van Buren. Preston sat between Simone and her lawyer, wearing new clothes I hadn't paid for. He was 13 years old enough to remember me coaching his little league team, old enough to have a say in where he wanted to live. The judge was a tired-looking woman in her 50s. She looked at Preston over her reading glasses. "Preston, this is your choice. Who do you want to live with?" My son stared at the floor. His jaw was tight. He wouldn't look at me. Not once. "Mom," he said quietly. "Are you sure?" the judge asked. Preston nodded. Still wouldn't look at me. "Okay," the judge said and signed the papers. That was it. 30 seconds and he was gone. I tried to catch him in the hallway after. "Preston, buddy, can we talk?" He pulled his arm away. Simone stepped between us. "Leave him alone, Joseph." I watched them walk out through the glass doors into the Arizona sun. Preston didn't look back. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment on the south side of Phoenix 2 weeks later. The walls were beige. The carpet smelled like cigarettes. My toolbox sat by the front door. My rusted van was parked outside. That was everything I owned at 41 years old. I sat on the edge of a mattress on the floor that first night and thought about calling Preston. But what would I say? What do you say to a 13-year-old boy who just chose someone else? She left. Preston left. And I was 41 years old with nothing but a toolbox and a rusted van. I didn't know it then, but that was the easy part. The hard part would take 15 years. 3 years after the divorce, my phone rang at 2 in the morning. It was Simone. Her voice was smaller, desperate. "Joseph, I need help. He left me. I can't make rent. The man with the Mercedes and the car dealership's gone. Karma moves slow, but it moves." How much, I asked. $1,200, just this once. "I'll pay you back. I should have hung up. I didn't. If I help, can I talk to Preston?" A pause. "He asks about you sometimes. If you help, maybe we can work something out." I wired the money the next morning. She never called about Preston, but she called plenty of other times. That was the first of hundreds. After the divorce, I focused on one thing working. I couldn't fix my marriage, couldn't fix my relationship with my son, but I could fix pipes, and I was damn good at it. I started with 1 rusted van, then 2, then 3. Hired my first employee, Eddie, a kid who needed a second chance. Then another. By the time Preston turned 18, I had 5 trucks on the road with Sullivan Plumbing and Heating on the side. By 21-15, my first big contract came at 46, a hospital in Tempe. then a school district, an office complex in Scottsdale. The business grew. 500,000 in revenue became $1 million, then 2, then 5. I bought a warehouse, hired an office manager, had 35 employees by the time Preston graduated college. Good people, hard workers. Eddie became my crew chief. Around then I met Leo Castellano, another contractor rebuilding his life. We grabbed beers on Fridays. He became the closest thing I had to family. Meanwhile, the payments never stopped. Child support $1,200 a month for 15 years. $216,000. I kept the records. Maybe I needed proof I hadn't abandoned them. When Preston turned 18, I sent a card with $500 and a note. Proud of you. Let's have dinner. He cashed the check. Never called. His 21st birthday, I left a voicemail. Happy birthday, buddy. Call when you can. He didn't. Every few months, Simone called. Never to talk always. There's a problem. We need help. And like a fool, I helped. Because she always added, Preston really appreciates it. And every time I believed her, the pattern was clear. I just didn't want to see it. His graduation was in May at UNLV. I'd paid the tuition $35,000 over 4 years. Didn't even know he'd majored in business until I saw the program. I drove 4 hours to get there. Sat in the back with 2,000 other parents. Watched him cross the stage. He looked good, healthy. A man now. After the ceremony, I found him with friends. Preston. He turned. For a second, I thought I saw warmth. Then it vanished. Hey, he said flat. I'm proud of you, son. He glanced at his friends. Thanks for the tuition, I guess. Then he walked away. No introduction, no questions, nothing. I stood there in the Vegas sun as families hugged around me and finally understood money couldn't buy his love. It never could. All it bought was the right to keep giving more. I drove 4 hours home alone. That was the day I stopped believing money could fix what was broken. I kept a spreadsheet. Not to throw it in their faces someday, but because I needed proof I wasn't losing my mind. Proof that I'd tried. Proof that the money was real. It was late on a Thursday night, maybe 2 weeks before everything fell apart. I sat in my home office in Phoenix and opened the file I'd been updating for 15 years. The numbers sat there in black and white. College tuition, $35,000. He'd dropped out after 2 years. First car, $15,000. Totaled 6 months after I co-signed the loan. Second car, $18,000. Repossessed. Credit card debt the first time, $8,000. He'd promised he'd learned his lesson. Credit card debt the second time, $12,000. Same promise. Rent bailouts, $6,000 spread across a dozen calls from Simone over the years. DUI legal fees, $5,000. He'd called me from a Las Vegas holding cell at 3 a.m. Random emergencies, $8,000. Medical bills. Broken leases. A business opportunity that never materialized. And then the big one. First gambling debt. $15,000, 3 years ago. That call came on a Saturday morning. I was at the warehouse going over payroll with Eddie when my phone rang. Preston's name on the screen. I hadn't heard from him in months. Dad, his voice cracked. I have a problem. Gambling. I owe $15,000. They're saying if I don't pay by Monday. Who's they? It doesn't matter. Hey, Dad, please. I'm scared. I'll stop. I swear. I just need help this one time. I wired the money that afternoon. Gone in 60 seconds. He promised he'd get help. Said he'd go to Gamblers Anonymous. Said he'd never touch a casino again. He went to 2 meetings, then stopped answering my calls. For 2 years after that, things were quiet. No emergencies, no desperate texts from Simone. I told myself he'd turned it around, that maybe the $15,000 had been the wake-up call he needed. I wanted to believe it. But a few months ago, Eddie showed me something on his phone. Preston's Instagram, pictures of him in expensive restaurants, bottle service at nightclubs, designer clothes I knew he couldn't afford. The captions were always the same. Living my best life. You only live once. I stared at the screen. Felt something cold settle in my stomach. You gonna talk to him? Eddie asked. What's the point? Leo said the same thing when I told him over beers that Friday. We were sitting at a dive bar on McDowell. You're enabling him, Joe, Leo said. Not mean, just honest. You keep bailing him out, he'll never grow up. I know. So why do you keep doing it? I didn't have a good answer. I still don't. 2 weeks ago, Preston posted something new. I saw it myself this time. A picture of poker chips, red and black, stacked high. The caption, sometimes you gotta risk it all. I stared at that post for a long time. My thumb hovered over the call button. I should have called, should have said something. But I was tired, 15 years tired, so I closed the app and went to bed. I sat there that Thursday night staring at the spreadsheet. All those numbers, all those years. Bailouts $133,000. Child support $1,200 a month for 15 years, $216,000. Grand total $349,000. That's a house. That's retirement. That's a life I'll never get back. That Instagram post should have been a warning. Risk it all. 2 weeks later, he'd risk everything and lose. And for the first time in 15 years, I wouldn't be there to catch him. Thursday morning, my phone buzzed during a job site meeting in North Phoenix. I glanced down. Instagram notification. Preston had tagged me in a photo. Him and another guy at the airport. Big smiles. Sunglasses. Carry-on bags. The caption, Vegas baby. My stomach dropped. But I was in the middle of a meeting with a contractor about a hospital HVAC bid. I put the phone back in my pocket and kept talking. By Thursday afternoon, there was another post. The lobby of Caesar's Palace. Marble floors. Gold everything. Preston holding a cocktail. Caption, checked in. Let's get it. I stared at the photo for a long moment. Then I put my phone down and went back to work. Thursday night, another post. This time it was a poker table. Green felt. Stacks of red and black chips in front of him. His friend Colton Westfield, I'd learn his name later, sitting next to him grinning. Caption, feeling lucky tonight. I didn't sleep well. Friday morning, Eddie walked into my office holding his phone. Boss, you seeing this? I looked up from my desk, seeing what... He turned the screen toward me. Another post. Bottle service at some nightclub. Sparklers on the bottles. Preston and Colton surrounded by people I didn't recognize. Caption, living the dream. I handed the phone back. He's 28 years old, Eddie. Not my problem. Eddie looked at me for a second. You sure about that? I didn't answer. That afternoon, Leo called. Joe, I'm seeing Preston's Instagram. You know he's in Vegas, right? I know. You gonna do something. Like what, drive 4 hours and drag him home? He's a grown man, Leo. There was a pause. All right, just checking. Friday night, I was sitting in my living room when my phone buzzed again. 11:47 p.m. One more post. A close-up of casino chips. Red, black, green. Stacked high on a table. And in the background, just barely visible, Preston's face. That same smile. The one I'd seen 3 years ago when he promised he'd quit. No caption this time. I stared at the photo. My thumb hovered over his name. I could call. I could tell him to stop. To walk away. To come home. But I'd said those things before, and he'd never listened. I locked my phone, set it on the nightstand, turned off the light, fell asleep. I didn't know that 2 hours later my phone would ring, and everything would change. At 1 a.m, my phone vibrated on the nightstand. The room was dark. The screen lit up my face. Simone. I stared at it for a second. Then I answered. Joseph, he's in jail. Her voice was shaking, hysterical. Preston's in jail. They arrested him. You have to help. I sat up, turned on the lamp. What happened? He got into a fight at a casino. They're saying he assaulted someone. And there's fraud charges. Something about a fake ID and casino credit. I don't understand all of it. But they're holding him. Bail is $8,000. And the lawyer says we need another $12,000 for legal fees? Joseph, I don't have that kind of money. Where is he? Las Vegas, Clark County Detention Center. I rubbed my face, looked at the clock. 1:03 a.m. What was he doing that got him arrested? I don't know. He was gambling. Things got out of hand. Joseph, does it matter? He needs help. It matters. Why are you being like this? Your son is sitting in a jail cell right now, and you're asking questions like some kind of cop. I took a breath, kept my voice level. Simone, I've given you $349,000 over the last 15 years. Every time you promised it was the last time. Every time he promised he'd change. And every time nothing changed. Silence on the other end. I'm not doing this anymore. What are you talking about? Her voice went up an octave. He's your son. I know, and I love him. But paying his bail isn't going to help him. It's just going to teach him that I'll always be there to fix his problems. And I won't. Not anymore. So you're just going to let him sit in jail? If that's what it takes for him to face consequences, yes. What kind of father are you? I felt something cold settle in my chest. Calm. Final. The kind who finally learned the difference between helping and enabling. I've been enabling him for 15 years, and all it's done is make things worse. You're unbelievable. You know that you've always been like this. Cold. Selfish. This is why I left you. You left me for a man with money, Simone. Let's not rewrite history. How dare you? Call Colton. Call his father, Marshall Westfield. Call anyone else. But don't call me. I'm done. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Simone's name on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined. Again. Declined. A text came through. Then another. Then 5 more in a row. I didn't read them. I turned on airplane mode, set the phone face down on the nightstand, turned off the lamp. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, waiting to feel guilty, waiting to feel like a bad father, waiting for the weight to come back. It didn't. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Light. Like I'd been carrying 100-pound weight on my back for 15 years, and I'd finally set it down. I closed my eyes, and I slept. 8 hours straight. No interruptions, no nightmares, no guilt. I woke up 8 hours later to sunlight streaming through the window, the kind of morning that feels clean, new. I turned off airplane mode. My phone came back to life. 67 missed calls, 189 text messages, 31 voicemails. I stared at the screen. Instagram notifications, Facebook notifications, emails, messages from numbers I didn't recognize. I opened Facebook. The first thing I saw was a post from Simone. Posted at 2:47 in the morning. I'd been tagged. There was a photo. Preston's mugshot, his face bruised, eyes red. He looked like hell. And below it, Simone's words. I'm sharing this because I don't know what else to do. This is my son Preston. He's sitting in a jail cell in Las Vegas right now. He made mistakes. He knows that. But he's 28 years old, and he's scared, and he needs help. Bail is $8,000. His father, who I won't name, but who makes plenty of money, refused to help him. Hung up on me at 1 in the morning when I begged him to help our son. What kind of father does that? What kind of man turns his back on his own child? If anyone can help, there's a GoFundMe link in the comments. Preston deserves a second chance. Please share. 437 shares, 823 comments, 1,200 reactions. I scrolled through the comments. What kind of father refuses to bail out his own son? This is disgusting. I hope karma gets him. If he's rich and won't help his kid, he's a terrible person. Praying for Preston. Nobody deserves to be abandoned like this. But there were a few others. There's probably more to this story. Maybe the dad has a good reason. Everyone's so quick to judge. I kept scrolling. Someone had found my business page. Sullivan Plumbing and Heating. 27 new reviews. All 1 star. All posted in the last 6 hours. Owner is a heartless man who abandons his family. Would never hire this company. Disgusting human being. If he treats his son like this, imagine how he treats customers. None of them were real. None of them had ever hired me. I closed Facebook. Opened my email. 34 new messages, most from people I didn't know. You should be ashamed of yourself. What kind of monster are you? I hope you rot. I closed the email. My phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer. It rang again. Another unknown number. Again. I turned the ringer off. 2 hours later, Leo called. I answered. Joe, I'm seeing this shit online. You okay? I'm fine. You want me to defend you in the comments? I can tell people what really happened. How much you've done for him over the years. No? Joe, anyone who knows me will know the truth. The rest don't matter. There was a pause. All right. But if you change your mind, let me know. Thanks, Leo. I hung up, looked at the GoFundMe link someone had posted in Simone's comments. Help Preston, abandoned by his father. Goal $20,000. Raised so far $2,847. 94 people had donated. I set the phone down, sat there in my kitchen, sunlight still streaming through the window. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was tired of being lied about, and I was done staying quiet. At noon, I called Stanley Morrison. Stanley, it's Joe Sullivan. I need your help. What's going on? I'm being attacked online. My ex-wife posted something about our son. It's gone viral. She's lying about me, about what I've done, about who I am. I want to fight back. Tell me everything. I did. The 15 years, the $349,000, the 1 a.m. phone call, the refusal, the post. Stanley was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Do you have evidence? All of it. Bank statements, text messages, emails, receipts. 15 years of documentation. Good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to draft a public statement. We're going to attach the evidence. And we're going to post it where everyone can see it. But we're going to do this right. Factual, calm, no emotion, just the truth. Give me a few hours. Can you come to my office at 2? I'll be there. I hung up with Stanley and sat there for a moment, staring at my phone, at Simone's post, at the lies. By 6 o'clock that evening, the truth would be out. Simone wanted a war. Fine. She'd get one. I spent the next 2 hours in my home office pulling files. First the spreadsheet, the one I'd kept for 15 years, every payment, every bailout, every dollar. I exported it to a PDF, $349,000, highlighted in yellow at the bottom. Then the text messages. I scrolled back through years of conversations with Simone, with Preston, every message the same, asking for money, promising it was the last time. I took screenshots, 23 of them, saved them in a folder. Next, the divorce decree. I pulled it from the filing cabinet in my garage, 15 years old, signed by a judge in Maricopa County. Grounds adultery. I scanned it. Then the child support records, 15 years of bank statements, automatic transfers, $1,200 a month. Every month, never missed, never late. $216,000 total. At 2 o'clock, Leo showed up at my front door. "You shouldn't do this alone, Joe." I let him in. He made coffee, helped me organize the documents into folders. Didn't say much, just stayed. At 3, I called Marshall Westfield, Colton's father, the one Preston had gone to Vegas with. "Marshall, this is Joseph Sullivan, Preston's father. I need your help." There was a pause. "Then I saw Simone's post this morning. That's not the whole story, is it?" "No, it's not." Colton told me what happened. Preston used a fake ID to open a casino credit line, ran up $50,000 in debt, got into a fight with security when they confronted him. My son tried to stop him. Preston wouldn't listen. "Would you be willing to put that in writing?" "Already working on it. I'll have it notarized and emailed to you within the hour. What she's doing to you isn't right." "Thank you." At 4 o'clock, Stanley arrived. He spread everything across my desk, the spreadsheet, the screenshots, the divorce papers, the child support records, Marshall's statement, which had come through at 3:30. He read through it all, twice. Then he looked up at me. "This is airtight. She can't dispute any of this." We spent the next hour and a half drafting the statement. Stanley typed. I paced. We revised it 3 times. Kept it factual, calm. No attacks, no blame. Just the truth. Timeline. Numbers. Evidence. By 5:45 it was done. Stanley attached the documents. Spreadsheet. Screenshots. Divorce decree. Child support records. Marshall's statement. Everything. He looked at me. "You ready?" I nodded. He handed me my phone. The post was drafted, ready to go. I just had to press the button. I stared at the screen. My finger hovered over post. Leo stood next to me. "You sure about this?" I took a breath. "I'm sure." The post went live at 6 o'clock. I walked away from the computer, went to the kitchen, made coffee. Leo stayed at my desk. "Joe, you gotta see this." I walked back. He pointed at the screen. 47 shares, 5 minutes. By 6:30, it was 450. More than Simone's post had gotten in 6 hours. By 7, it was 890. The comments were rolling in. "I'm so sorry I judged you without knowing the whole story. This man paid $349,000 over 15 years, and people called him heartless. Simone should be ashamed of herself. Everyone who attacked this man owes him an apology." Leo looked at me. "Joe, you're winning." I didn't feel like I was winning. I just felt tired. At 11:47 that night, I got a notification. "Simone removed a post you were tagged in. She deleted it. Too late. Screenshots were already everywhere." Sunday morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing. 23 new messages. The post had 2,400 shares. I opened my business page. Sullivan Plumbing and Heating. 83 new 5-star reviews, all posted overnight. Just read this man's story. Hired him to fix my water heater today. Stand-up guy. Anyone who calls this man heartless doesn't understand what real parenting looks like. Integrity matters. Giving this business my support. Facebook had removed the 27 fake 1-star reviews. Violation of their policy. The rating had gone from 2.1 stars to 4.9. By 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the GoFundMe was gone. I clicked the link. A message appeared. "This campaign has been closed due to misleading information. All donations have been refunded. $4,823. Refunded to 94 people. By Sunday evening, I had 127 apology messages, texts, Facebook messages, emails. "I'm sorry I called you heartless. I was wrong about you. You're a better father than most." I didn't respond to any of them. At 6 o'clock Sunday night, I got an email from a woman named Brenda Lawson, reporter for KPNX Channel 12 News. "Mr. Sullivan, I'd like to interview you about your story. People are calling you the dad who said no. Would you be willing to talk on camera? I called Stanley. He said it was a good idea. Monday morning at 10, Brenda showed up at my house with a cameraman. We sat in my living room. She asked me questions for 20 minutes. Why did you refuse to help your son? I looked at the camera. I love my son. I always will. But love doesn't mean enabling someone's destructive behavior. I gave him $349,000 over 15 years. And every time he promised it would be the last time. It never was. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the consequences of their choices. Do you regret your decision? No, I regret that it took me 15 years to make it. The segment aired Monday evening at 5. By 6, the clip had 350,000 views online. At 6 o'clock Monday night, Stanley called me. I just sent the cease and desist letter to Simone. Certified mail. She'll have it by tomorrow morning. What does it say? 4 things. Delete all defamatory content. Issue a public apology. Cease all contact with you. And if she doesn't comply within 48 hours, we file a $500,000 defamation lawsuit. Tuesday morning at 8, my phone buzzed. A text from Simone. The first time she'd contacted me since the 1 a.m. call on Saturday. Joseph, please. The lawyer's threatening to sue me. I can't afford that. I'll apologize. Just tell him to stop. I didn't respond. Tuesday at 11 a.m. she posted. I want to apologize to Joseph Sullivan. In my panic about my son, I posted things that weren't the full story. Joseph has been a good father and provider. I'm sorry for any harm caused. Short, vague, no specifics. You could tell she didn't want to write it. I read it once, felt nothing. I closed the Facebook app, set my phone down. That was enough. 2 weeks after I posted the truth, Preston stood in a courtroom in Las Vegas. I wasn't there. Stanley called me that afternoon. He took a plea deal, 90 days in jail, 2 years probation, mandatory gambling treatment, $50,000 in restitution. Good, I said. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived from the detention center. Preston apologizing, promising treatment, mentioning the $349,000 for the first time. I read it once, folded it, put it in my desk drawer, didn't write back. A month later, my business was booked solid for 10 weeks. New clients kept calling. Half of them said they hired me because of my story. I met Kathleen at a coffee shop near my office. She walked up to my table. You're Joseph Sullivan, aren't you? I saw your story. I wanted to say thank you. My brother's an addict. Pills. I've bailed him out 6 times. Last month he called asking for $5,000. Because of your story, I said no. We talked for an hour, exchanged numbers. That same week I started seeing a therapist. Dr. Reynolds helped me process 15 years of trying to save someone who wouldn't save himself. 6 months after the court hearing, Preston was released. He entered a residential treatment program. A second letter arrived, steadier handwriting this time. Dad, I'm 6 months sober. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I'm trying. I kept both letters in my desk drawer. Read the second one twice. Still didn't respond. But I was listening. By then, Kathleen and I had been dating for 4 months. Slow, healthy. She understood boundaries. She understood what it meant to love someone and still say no. My phone hadn't rung at 1 a.m. in 6 months. This morning I'm sitting in my backyard with coffee watching the sun come up. The air is cool. The sky is pink and orange. I think about Preston sometimes, wonder if the treatment will stick, but I don't call. I don't check in, because that's not my job anymore. If you're reading this and someone you love is gambling their life away, I want you to know something. 2 to 3% of Americans struggle with gambling addiction. The house always wins. That's not a saying. It's math. Watch for the warning signs, lying about where they've been, borrowing money repeatedly, secretive behavior, chasing losses, risking relationships, jobs, homes. If you see those signs, get help. The National Council on Problem Gambling has a 24/7 hotline, 1-800-522-4700. Gamblers Anonymous has free meetings in every state. But here's the hardest truth I learned. You can't save someone who won't save themselves. Enabling isn't love, it's fear. Fear that if you stop giving, they'll fall apart. But they're already falling apart. Your money is just slowing it down. Setting boundaries isn't abandonment, it's survival. If I hadn't said no, Preston would still be gambling, I'd still be broke. Nothing would have changed. Saying no saved my life. And maybe if he keeps working at it, it'll save his too. The sliding door opens. Kathleen steps out with her coffee, thinking about Preston. Yeah, She sits next to me. You think he'll make it? I watch the sun climb higher. I hope so, but that's up to him now. She doesn't say anything, just sits with me. The morning is quiet. My phone is on the table, silent. It hasn't rung at 1 in the morning in 6 months. My business is thriving. I'm dating a woman who understands what it means to love someone and still say no. I sleep through the night. Every night. For the first time since I was 41 years old, I'm free. Looking back on this journey, I see a man who spent 15 years confusing love with enabling. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you've given $349,000 to realize that helping someone means letting them face their own consequences. Here's what I learned. God gives us free will for a reason. We can't force someone to choose better. We can only choose better for ourselves. If you're in a situation like mine, here's my advice. Set the boundary today, not tomorrow. Not after one more bailout. Today. Because every time you say yes when you should say no, you're teaching them that they don't have to change. Love doesn't mean being a wallet. It means being willing to watch someone struggle so they can grow. This grandpa stories might sound harsh, but it's a true story that saved my life. And if you're reading this, maybe it can save yours too. The greatest lesson: you can't rescue someone from consequences they need to face. That's not abandonment. That's wisdom. These kinds of grandpa stories aren't easy to tell, but they're necessary. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that it's okay to say no, that boundaries aren't cruelty, that loving someone sometimes means stepping back. This true story ends with freedom. Yours can too. Every grandpa story teaches something valuable, and this true story taught me that real love requires tough choices. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Share your own experience. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, please share this video and subscribe to the channel. Your story matters. Let's talk about it.